Welcome to Galaxy Tenants Burning Man Chronicles Chapter 1. On this episode, we head into the Multiverse for a conversation with Athena Demos, co-founder of BRCvr. As well, we feature a couple of songs by Lotus from their new release, Free Swim, in the following order: Earl of Grey and Land of Lush.
I want to welcome Athena from BRCvr to the Galaxy Tenants podcast. How are you today, Athena?
I'm doing great.
Wonderful. Can you talk a little bit about what BRCvr is and give us maybe a little bit of the backstory on it?
Sure. BRCvr is one of the 8 recognized universes of the Burning Man multiverse. Now that's a mouthful and nobody knows what that means. What it means is that there are 8 different possibilities for participating in the virtual burn this year, which begins on Sunday, August 30th and goes through September 6th. So we're one of them. We are virtual reality specific. You need a headset. You can get on the platform with a PC or a Mac running Windows. It does need Windows. They're working on the Mac client to try to get that working, but we don't know if it's going to be done by the time the event starts. So you need a VR headset. That's the best way to view it. One of the Oculuses, the Quest, or the Rift, or there's lots of different headsets, and we work on most of them. The other universes are different. We all bring something different to the table. So some of them are browser related, where you just participate on your computer. Some are like a combination of Zoom rooms, Twitch rooms, YouTube type of participation. There's one that's really adorable that I love called Build a Burn, that is like the graphic novel version of Burning Man, black and white line drawings. It's a lot of fun. Some are cell phone based, so you'll participate on your cell phone, and others are VR as well, but BRCvr is Black Rock City virtual reality. We are social VR, and we are on the AltSpace platform.
One of the things I really like looking through all of the multiverses, and first I want to say it's quite incredible that the theme this year was multiverse prior to the unfolding of COVID-19. It's stunning kind of how this all came together. I've been looking through the different multiverses, and one of the things I like about yours is it's most consistent with the visual appearance of the playa, and it has the kind of the same feel, whereas some of the other worlds are very abstract or, like you said, kind of Zoom based. I thought it was really cool looking at the kind of world that you guys have created. Can you talk a little bit about the backstory of how this came together, the digital world that exists in BRCvr?
So there's a lot of playa magic that is involved with this project. Greg Edwards is our main developer and co-founder, and he started this project in 2014. He fell in love with everything about Burning Man. I mean, we all do. We all just, the minute you go, you're like, what am I going to create? And he was already working in the VR world, and he just decided to recreate his first burn, which was 2014. At the time, I was the regional contact for Los Angeles, and that's where he's from. And we were friends, and he contacted me, and he's like, hey, I created this thing. I want to show it to you. This was the very first time I ever put my face in a VR headset. And it was, with a Google Cardboard with the phone, and it was single user, not social VR. And so it was December of 2014. I remember him coming over, putting the headset on me, and I was transported onto the playa. I was there. I was home. I went back home, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe what you created. And then he kept working on it, and we went to the board for the LA League of Arts, which is a not-for-profit I started to be the incubator, the umbrella organization for the LA burners, and create more art. So it was sort of perfect. I was like, okay, well, we're going to fiscally sponsor your project and bring this to the world. So we did that, and I became a co-producer. And in June of 2015, we went up to San Francisco, Greg and I, and his headsets, and we were in a boardroom that was like standing room only. It was a huge table with all sorts of chairs filled with Larry and Marion and Danger and Dusty. I mean, I could just like run off all these names. Everyone was there. And we started putting, we had 3 headsets. So we shared around and everyone got to see it. And they liked it a lot. And we were pitching it as an archival tool. But they already had their archive and they didn't really need this. And they didn't understand its purpose because it didn't really have one yet. So by September, everything just sort of fizzled. And we ended up putting it on a hard drive and sticking it in the top shelf of Greg's closet. So
it really was kind of a novelty before it was a necessity. And yes. I think that's kind of crazy. So what was the original?
The technology hadn't gotten to where it is now. Like, it was only one person looking at it. It wasn't social VR, which is interacting with other avatars and talking to people, which is the magic of Burning Man.
Yeah, that technology is a game changer.
Yeah, it was a complete game changer.
Yeah.
So then this year, COVID happened, and a good friend of mine, Doug Jacobson, who's also one of our co-founders, he's turning 50 this year, and he was going to have a big party, and obviously he realized he wasn't. So he talked to Greg about, can we do something virtual? And they started thinking about the venue. And Greg's like, I have that old Burning Man thing on the hard drive. Maybe we should throw that up on AltSpace and see how it looks.
Just sitting on a shelf somewhere.
Sitting on a shelf. I didn't happen to have Burning Man sitting on a shelf. Or it's not Burning Man, because Burning Man is the people. It's Black Rock City. So we had Black Rock City sitting on a shelf. Because really, honestly, Burning Man is the people and the culture and the ethos.
Very fair.
So he puts it up on April 3rd. And Greg and Doug are now standing on the playa in their avatars looking around, just realizing we just recreated Black Rock City in social VR. And Greg was like, I think I'm going to keep working on this. And Doug started figuring out where he was going to have his birthday party. 7 days later, to the day. So on the 3rd of April, we went live. And on the 10th of April, Marion announced that Burning Man was canceled for the first time in their 34-year history, something like that. There's always been a joke that Burning Man's been canceled. Almost every April 1st, there's something that comes out that Burning Man's been canceled. And now it was real, and nobody knew whether to believe it or not.
And it's not funny. At that point, it's just not funny. We're already dealing with COVID.
Right. Yeah. So, and we've been live ever since. It's not like a lot of these other universes. They were building and creating, and they're still building and creating, and no one's seen what they look like except for like their demo videos.
Right. So as of right now, the BRCvr universe is open and available to the public. And so people can go in there and walk around and check everything out. However, the event itself will be beginning in the next handful of days.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So it's been live and open. We throw parties every Friday night. If you have a VR headset, then you can hop on today. Go to AltSpaceVR or altvr.com and log in, get a username, build your avatar. And it's so funny. I just did this script. I have a video of me and my avatar going, all you need to do is go to altvr.com, get a username and a password, build an avatar.
Nice presentation.
Thank you. And then you can find BRCvr right now. We're featured. So you'll go to Worlds and then featured, and there's BRCvr. But if you just go to our website and you click on Get Started, there's a link for how to participate in the digital dust and all the directions from how to set up your headset to how to set up your AltSpace account to how to find BRCvr is all there. So just go to brcvr.org and everything you need is under the Get Started tab.
That's perfect. I will dive into that. As far as the space itself, the interface, is it users contributing art? Is it I know some of the platforms are doing live streams of DJ sets and speeches and things like that. How much of the interface is already existing based on what was previously created? And are users able to contribute camps and art and things like that?
Everything is user created. Burning Man, everything is user created. This platform is really great. We've had to do some hacks in order to get it to work for what we want. And a lot of those hacks created freedom of expression and radical self-expression for theme camps and artists. And so the way it works is there's the virtual playa, and it is a map. And you walk around the virtual playa and you come upon a piece of art, and it is the low poly or the low resolution version of that art. Maybe it's the Mayan warrior art card, the Disorient theme camp, or Helios by Kate Rodenbush. Like, there's all these things. But when you come upon it, it's sort of a lower resolution version. And that's because you're restricted to the number of polys you can have in any one world. And every avatar is a poly count. So if you want a maximum number of people, you have to bring everything down. But just like Burning Man, if you get to a theme camp, you walk into it. So we have these portals, and they look like Star Trek teleporters. They're blue, they have the lines going up and down and the little bubbles, and you walk into a portal and you're transported magically to the world of that art or that theme camp or that art card. Just like you would at Burning Man. When you walk into a theme camp, you're no longer on Playa. You're in their world. So, and it's their world. They own it. They create it. We just give them the placement. Mm-hmm. And so their programming and their events and their DJs and their art and everything. Now, because this is a completely new technology to 90% of the burner community, maybe more. I mean, I understand there's a lot of tech people in the Burning Man community, but they're not in VR. I mean, that's a niche. That's like this little group that is now dancing and singing right now because the rest of the art community has just jumped on board. And it's amazing what's being created right now. So we have had to do a lot of hand-holding. Greg Edwards created a toolkit that is pretty much every object you would want in your theme camp if you were to build it at Burning Man. So there's like 6 different types of RVs and every type of trailer and shift pods and tents and DJ setups and showers and generators and cabling and lights and poofs and beanbag chairs and camping chairs and all those different chairs and cups and hookahs. And if you can think of it, it's been created and it's in this toolkit. We ask for a donation for the toolkit, but it's just a donation. You can download the toolkit on our website, use a program like Blender or Maya or Unity, or we recommend Blender. It's free. And you get the toolkit and you load it into Blender, and then you just copy and paste. I want this RV here. I want this rug here. I want this fabric over here. I want to put the dome here. I want to make the dome bigger. I want to make the dome smaller. You know, it's like, and then you have your camp.
That's incredible.
And so we made it as simple as possible. We wanted people to be radically self-reliant. We wanted people to be able to grasp the technology and create with it. But now, you know, there's complicated art. You know, there's the temples and the men and the big, you can't have that in a kit. But a lot of this art, at least since 2014, 2015, people have been making 3D models and designing their art in 3D and then going to the playa and building it. So a lot of this art existed as 3D models. Now it's getting it into a program and then building the world around it so that that art can exist. And so we've been helping a lot of artists with that process and connecting people where, you know, we have an artist with a great piece of art, we have a 3D modeler or an alt space world builder or a Unity developer, and they're like, I can help. And so we connect those people and they go off and they make magic happen. And then they give us the file and we upload it to BRCvr. And then we all go walk in and we're like, oh my God. And for a lot of artists, like Kate Rodenbush, I love her art so much. I'm a big fan. And there was something I never thought of before that she said that really struck me. She said, you work really hard to create this piece, to model it, to build it, to put it out there, and you have this tunnel vision the whole time. And then all of a sudden it's burnt and gone. And you barely get an opportunity to enjoy it before it's gone. And there she was standing next to this piece that doesn't exist anymore, but there it was, and it exists, and you're standing next to it, and you can walk around it. And it was like almost being in tears, just being able to experience and be with your art again. And so
That's incredible.
We have lots of things like that are pieces that had burned and now they exist in virtual reality. We have new pieces that were supposed to get built in 2020. We have pieces of art that go back. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know the earliest piece that we have.
I was going to ask, how far do you go back on like the temples and the mans?
Well, we have Galaxia we have the 2020 temple, obviously. We have Galaxia, which is 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Temple of Holiness, which is Greg Fleischman, one of my favorite temples. That one, I think, is in the Guinness Book of World Records, is the largest structure with no nails or screws or foundation.
That's crazy. Do you remember the Temple of Transition? That enormous structure? I think that was 2011. It was my first burn. It was enormous, and it had these huge bridges going to it and these different towers.
Yes, I do remember that. Yes.
Stunning.
That was stunning.
Yeah.
So, it's I don't know how many of the temples are going to be in this year.
Mm-hmm.
I know of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, there's a lot that's being created. This is true for every Burning Man. The artists are creating something and they're going to bring it, but we don't know what's being brought until, like a few days before. So, and there's going to be some worlds that are just going to like show up. Like we got an email this morning from an artist who was like, hey, I followed all your directions and I did everything and now I'm ready. And we're like, you have not even filled out a form on our website saying that you were going to do it. So we didn't even know you were coming. And you just sent us an email with your file. We're like,
artists.
Yeah, artists. So of course, my response was, can you please go on our website and fill out a form so that you're in our system? And then thank you for this. And yeah, crazy artists.
Yeah. What's your expected engagement for the week? Do you guys have an expected attendance? Do you have any way of gauging that at all? What can the system handle?
It's free. Well, AltSpace is Microsoft and they're all burners. Like the majority of the company is a whole bunch of burners, and Microsoft has a whole bunch of burners, and they're all in it. And they, the AltSpace crew built a theme camp called Playa Alchemist, which is amazing. They just showed it to us a few days ago, and I was just like, it's incredible. And they're going to have great events going on, but they're all in it. They're all like, yes, whatever you guys need. So we have been told that, they're preparing their servers to take on whatever load comes.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know what that load is. We've been open since April, and we've had almost 1,000 people favorite BRCvr. And they being AltSpace have been monitoring how many people have been coming in and out of the main playa. But my thought is that every person that owns a VR headset, so every VR headset in the world is going to be on at some point in time during Burn Week in BRCvr, and probably the other virtual burns as well. If you own a VR headset and you don't participate, you live in a cave, and then you probably wouldn't have one. Like the entire VR world is so excited about this. Like they've been trying to get consumer buy-in, and Oculus can barely keep up with the manufacturing needs for the number of headsets they're selling. Like it's just been, I know personally at least 20 people that have bought headsets because of me. Most of the Burning Man organization, there was one person in all of the Burning Man project organization that had a headset. And that was the chief technical officer, Stephen Blumenfeld. He had a headset. We could show it to him, but nobody else. And now, little by little, they've all been acquiring headsets and buying headsets. And it's beautiful to see. And the amazing thing is, a headset is about the same cost as a Burning Man ticket. So we decided to make the platform free because you're gonna buy the headset, and the headset's your ticket.
That's very cool.
There's so much more available to you than just BRCvr. Like, what's in that box? What's available in the Oculus store, or what's available in AltSpace in all the worlds?
Endless universes, apparently.
It's incredible.
It is really incredible.
And fun. I love playing the games. There's some games that are super fun, and exercise and meditation, and I've met some great people. I've been part of amazing talks. I went to a talk in AltSpace that was a discussion about death. We don't talk about death. We don't talk about death enough, and we need to. So it was like this open discussion about death, and people from all over the world, all different accents, just discussing what was going on for them, how many people had died because of COVID or other causes, and how that affected their life and their philosophy around it, what they think is going on. It was an intense hour, but it was a conversation that needed to happen, and I don't know if it could have happened anywhere else except VR for Burning Man.
That's really interesting. That's a heavy conversation.
Yeah.
But a life-changing conversation, I'm sure, when you gain all that perspective.
Yeah.
want to say I love your passion. The way you talk about things, how excited you are about the VR world, how excited you are about Burning Man. And for me, this is one of my favorite topics, Burning Man. I love talking about it. I'm the kind of guy that'll talk people's ear off, and then I'm like, that was about a half-hour conversation with no response on the other end, But I'm curious as to how you found Burning Man and what it did for you personally, and what you take away from the experience itself.
Oh, my very first year going to the Playa was 1999. But the very first year I bought a ticket was 1997. And a lot of people have these stories where they bought a ticket and they couldn't go. And they bought a ticket again and they couldn't go. And finally they were like, fuck it, I don't care. I'm just going to go. And that's what happened to me. So 97, I had heard about it. I am a muse and a figure model, and I've been in the art community in Los Angeles for a long time, and I'm an actress and had been doing low budget films. So I knew a lot of this underground art community, and going to Moon Tribe and Rainbow gatherings and stuff like that. And so I had heard about this, like, oh yeah, they build this guy and it's a desert rave and da-da-da-da. And it was a little thing. It was like this little thing. And I heard about it. And so in 97, I bought a ticket. It was like $50. And then I got booked in a theater in a show. And I was one of the leads in the play. And so, okay, fine, I'll sell my ticket to somebody else. And I didn't go. And in 98, the same thing happened. Although instead of getting cast in a theatrical performance, I got cast in a movie. And we were shooting over Labor Day weekend. So I sold my ticket and I didn't go. So in 1999, I bought a ticket, and now it was like $75 or $70. It was $70. And I got cast in something. And I said to them, but I'm going to be gone. And they were like, well, then we're going to have to cast somebody else. And I'm like, then you're going to have to cast somebody else. And they moved the date of the production. So I ended up going to Burning Man, coming home and shooting some horror movie like the very next weekend. And it just showed me that if I ask for what I want and I'm supposed to have it, I will have it. Like I was so afraid of losing this other work that I didn't give myself this experience. But 99 is perfect. A lot of the people working on BRCvr in our core team are Spirit of 99. We have 98, 99. We have several 99 people. We have a few 2000 people. So we're OG burners. And so my first year, my first moment on Playa is a great story. You ready? Okay. So I drive up to Burning Man with a friend of mine in his brand new BMW convertible with all of our brand new stuff, brand new tent, brand new bike, like everything is new. And that doesn't sound like a big deal unless you know Burning Man and how not acidic, but caustic the playa dust is, because it's like the inside of a sheet of drywall. It's gypsum. And it's pure alkaline, and it just eats through everything. So we have all this new stuff. We drive up there and we park on a back street, and we're like on the D street. Now it goes all the way down to L, in the wings, but we were on D, which was the back of the city, and we had taken the stuff off the back of the car and opened up the trunk, and I took off all my clothes, and I was wearing a hat and sandals, and we were getting ready to set up camp, and I look down the road, and there's this Viking ship driving down the road with all these people with like plastic horns, and there was this guy painted gold. He was like solid, shimmering gold horns, and everybody's like, raise them in, raise them in, raise them in. And I'm like, whoa, it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. And the golden god takes his hand and he reaches down over the side of the boat. And I look up and he goes, come with us. And I put my hand up. I wasn't expecting him to grab my wrist and pull me up on the boat. But that's exactly what he did. I thought we were going to like slap hands or whatever. I put my hand up and he just, whoop, up I go onto the boat. And I turn and I look at my friend and I'm like, bye. I don't know where I'm going. And we drove in and out of the streets. We picked up a whole bunch of people, and then we drove out to the man. Now, the man was lying on his face or back, because it's the same in either direction. And we drive out there, and everyone offloads, and they run up to ropes. Now, we're getting ready to raise the man, literally, with no cranes. We're going to do this like a whole bunch of Egyptian slave labor, and we're just going to raise that on ropes. We're just going to pull these ropes. So there's 2 ropes on either side, maybe side ropes. I think there were side ropes too, but I remember there were these 2, they were like big ropes. And then there were guys with bullhorns, and they would say, pull, hold, hold, pull. And so one side would pull, and the other side would pull up slack, and then we would hold, and then they would go, and then we would go. And at one point in time, I got tapped on the shoulder and pulled out of the line because they needed weight. And I was all of, 98 pounds, maybe. So they were like, you can't be on. I'm like, I can do it. They were like, no, you can't. We need this big, giant, burly dude to be right here. And that's when I learned that I don't have to do everything. I can be in support of the art. And that my soul just blew open. And my job became, we call them fluffers, which is different than the fluffer in the porn industry. So
I would hope so. Yeah.
But it's same, but different.
Yes.
You're in service of the people that are creating the art. So my job now was to run around and give people water, and you can't take your hands off the rope. So I would have to give people water. I'd give people snacks. I'd rub sunblock on their face. I'd, pat the sweat off their eyes or whatever. And so I was just running around, taking care of as many people as I possibly could. And, to the core of my soul, I'm a muse. The purpose of my life is to inspire creativity and facilitate that creative process. And this was the ultimate mecca for me. There was so much art being created, and I can be in service of it. And so after we finally got the man raised, which took 2-3 hours, it was a long time, everyone started to disperse. And here I am, naked with a hat and shoes on and nothing else. Don't forget, I got pulled onto a boat and hours earlier. And somebody screamed out, hey, we need some help over here if anybody's available. So I ran over and I helped build an art installation. And somebody gave me a shirt and some work gloves and a little skirt, because they're power tools and naked bodies don't normally get along. And and I grew up on a ranch in Texas. So I was like, yeah, give me power tools. So I'm building and shit. They're like, oh, you're great. You're amazing. And they're feeding me and they're giving me. And mind you, I don't know where my camp is. I don't know. We had just parked. So it was about 3 days until I figured out exactly where the car was. And John had the whole camp set up. And I literally went from project, from camp, from art, from place to place to place, being fed, given water, given clothing, a place to sleep. And I just worked. I just helped. What can I do to help? What can I do to help? What can I do to help? And then I found John, and we had a wonderful rest of our time. And he had a good time as well. And I came back home, and that was it. I knew that this is where my soul belonged.
It's a beautiful thing to be able to work on something that you can see the results of, that you can be passionate about, that you can be cared for while doing it as a worker. Well, you can be fed, you can be clothed, apparently. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. From there, I was looking at your bio, and it looks like you've done a deep dive from that point into Burning Man, the culture. What are some of the things that you've been involved with off-planet?
Well, in 2002, when I got back from Burning Man, some friends of mine in Los Angeles, Mark Bava, Paul Carey, Tuan, Wolfie, I think that's it. That's our core group. We all got together. Mark Bava had already pulled the permit for the street next to his bar. And he called us all in, and he was like, hey, I pulled this permit. We should do a street event. like San Francisco does. They started one called decompression, which is, you go to utopia, and then you come back to the default world, and it's a little jarring. So we do events called decompression, which allows you to decompress and have a little bit of that Burning Man culture in your default world.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't like default world because it's a choice, but it's the best way to explain it. You can't call it the normal world or the 52. There's 51 weeks that you don't spend at Burning Man, and it's that. So San Francisco did one in 2001, and Mark Bava decided we should do one in 2002 down in LA. So I started the LA Decompression Festival with 4 of my friends, and I kept producing it after that. Several of them over the years would no longer produce it or go on to do other things, and I stayed with it until 2016. So from 2002 to 2016, I produced the Decompression Festival, and then other things. I would do newbie orientation so that people that were going to Burning Man for the first time could learn about it, how to survive out there, what you need, tips and tricks, the Burning Man ethos, the 10 principles. Then I started teaching workshops on the 10 principles. And even in LA, we added an 11th principle, which is gratitude, because gratitude is paramount to all the other principles. You have to have gratitude in your communal effort. You have to be thankful for all the people that are working together to create whatever it is they're creating. And you could just go down the list and see gratitude fits into all of them. So we made an 11th principle, be gratitude. So I started teaching workshops. I would go to other festivals and I would teach workshops about the burner culture and the ethos and the principles. I will be doing that next week. Oh my God, Burn Week is next week. I just had that realization. But I'll be leading talks in several different worlds on the principles of Burning Man. So people can find me in the schedule on the events tab in Altspace, or we will have a website, a web page that's all the different lineups. And you can find me on them. And these are going to be open discussions. So I'm going to talk about a principle, and then we're going to have an open discussion of how that feeds into your life on a daily basis. And we're just going to break them down because I believe that the 10 principles of Burning Man aren't just burner principles, they're humanity principles. The commandments in the Bible are the things that you can't do, that you shouldn't do. But the principles are the things that you should. The ways in which we can be better humane beings in the world. Mm-hmm. And I believe that teaching them and having people understand them and apply them to their lives will actually make them happier.
Absolutely. The last thing I want to ask you today is, what do you want folks' takeaway to be from BRCvr?
Actually, I want them to do the opposite of takeaway. I want them to bring. I want them to be inspired to create, to find, I want to create this thing, but I don't know the technology, but this person knows the technology and that person, and put your group together and create. Just because Burn Week ends on September 6th doesn't mean we're going anywhere. We're calling September 7th, day 1. We've always wanted Burning Man 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
And here it is.
This is what it allows this to do. So come to BRCvr, enjoy it, participate, go to talks, go to DJs, dance your ass off, build up a sweat, throw some dust on your face so you can at least have that experience. We'll have digital dust. And
got mine ready to go.
Awesome. Yay. And we're going to do a man burn on September 5th. We have a man. We have the 2020 man. It will burn. It's beautiful. And there's Burning Man also has a thing called Burn at Home. But now I'm going to say this with a caveat because you need to be really careful if you decide to do this. But they're doing a project where you can burn a little man, like a little 6-inch, 12-inch, I don't know what that is in meter, like a little meter man, and be with a small group of friends, physically distance, be safe, be careful. If you're in California, don't do this project at all because the entire state's on fire. And, but you can do your own burn at home, because as much as we love VR, it doesn't allow you to have that full burn release. There's only one way to do that, and that's to actually burn something.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be streaming that burn at home in a world, and then we're going to have our man burn world, and that's on September 5th. And then on September 6th will be the temple, and that's a standalone experience. So you can go to the Empyrean Temple website and have that whole experience there. And then on September 7th, we're still open. We're still open. It's still happening. There won't be a whole bunch of things scheduled like there are for Burn Week, but you can still come. You can still visit your friends. You can still meet new friends, and you can start building whatever you want to create and bring to the virtual playa.
That is really beautiful. And thank you not only for this conversation, I'm so grateful for it, but thank you so much for the work that you've put into this project for all of us, and maybe deliver a thank you to your team from us, because it's something we're going to enjoy hopefully for a long time.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, if people want to give us a thank you, we are a labor of love, and that also means we need donations. There are actual hard costs to technology. So we're requesting everyone, please go to brcvr.org. There's a contribute button at the top, and you can contribute to BRCvr. And then in the lower third of our website is a button for Burning Man. Because if we are going to return to the physical playa and be together again, the survival of the Burning Man project, the organization that produces it, is paramount. And a lot of festival companies are going bankrupt because they're unable to have their festivals. So we ask people, make a donation to BRCvr, but also go to that lower third on our website and make a donation to the Burning Man project so that we can return back to the physical dust.
Let's do this again sometime on the playa.
I would love that. And maybe after Burn Week, we can do a follow-up interview and with Greg and Doug.
I would love that. Thank you so much, Athena. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you too.
In my hand, I'm holding the program for Burning Man 2015 Carnival of Mirrors. We're going to flip through at random and pick out a couple of events and read what the event entails.
Opening reception of the museum, Tuesday at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Join us for the opening reception of the museum. Enjoy champagne, flaming tetherball, and a fiery Zen garden in the museum courtyard at Plunderground, 4:30, and Arcade.
Wednesday, 4 o'clock to 5:30 p.m. From sex to superconsciousness, a tantric experience for you to explore the primal, the erotic, the fiery, the meditative, and the sublime. Bring a partner. Camp Mystic, Geek, and 2 o'clock.
Friday at 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Stories we tell ourselves. Bring stories of an experience in which you learned something new about yourself for a moth-like storytelling slam. Prize awarded for second place at Yummy Ruminations, Arcade, and 345. Thank you for listening to Galaxy Tenants. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. For early access to episodes and exclusive content, check us out on Patreon. Also, if you'd like to communicate with us, send an email to galaxytenants@gmail.com or leave a voicemail on the Galaxy Tenants hotline at 303-550-2065.
You've reached the Galaxy Tenants hotline. Please leave a message.